Sunday, November 3rd, and welcome inside the vault for a post-game live stream after the Ravens, Sarah, bounced back in a big way and in a dominant way, taking down the Denver Broncos 41-10. Baltimore improves to 6-3, and a short week looms with Thursday Night Football coming up this week and the Cincinnati Bengals, an in-division opponent for the second time this season, coming to town. Welcome inside the vault. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by our friends at GEHA, that's Government Employees Health Association. More on our sponsor in just a bit. But, partner, this was utterly dominant offense yet again. Lamar Jackson goes for a perfect passer rating for the fourth time in his career. We'll get into the record that he tied. He went over 275 yards with 280. That was a record. We'll get into that Ravens franchise record in just a bit. 3 touchdowns, 16 of 19, very efficient. Zay Flowers goes for over 100 yards. He's looking like wide receiver 1 yet again. 2 touchdowns to go along with it. And, oh, by the way, that dude who had to wait until day 2 of free agency back in March, Sarah, it took him 9 games, not even because he did it in the third quarter, to reach 1,000-plus rushing yards. And his name is Derrick Henry. Welcome in. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. It's hard not to be well after an absolute pummeling of the Denver Broncos.
That's the right
there. Just punched left and right. And Bobby, this is by far the most complete game we've seen from the Ravens this season. By far the best defensive performance we've seen since they played against Josh Allen. Obviously, it was against a rookie, but the bleeding needed to stop somewhere. And at least it was here. Special teams did its thing. Punting people, pinning people up against the goal line. Justin Tucker scoring. I mean, it was just the most complete we've seen this Ravens team this season. It took about 9 weeks to get there. That doesn't mean they're perfect. Complete does not mean perfect. There's still some things that can be done. That's the scary part. The scary part, especially on offense, is that there were still some hiccups out there.
Yes.
But my goodness, Lamar Jackson here. He practiced 1 day this week, Bobby. He practiced 1 day. And to me, he didn't look 100%, right? Like, I'm not saying he's like limping out there or anything like that, but he didn't, maybe a little bit of soreness. So maybe the rest days were, obviously the rest days were given for a reason. He was on the injury report with a knee and a back. But I'm telling you, 1 day of practice on Friday, and those Friday practices are not installation days. The offense has already been installed for the week. Those are more glorified walkthroughs. And then our guy, this QB, Lamar Jackson, comes in and he's just on cruise control. Cruise control. Bobby, another perfect passer rating? What? This is number 4, very close to number 5. He had a 158.1 against the Bucs. So today he's got the 158.3. Ties Ben Roethlisberger for the most games with the perfect passer rating after practicing 1 day this week. He gave so much credit to I always want to say T. Higgins, T. Martin, for making sure that he was ready when they asked him about it. He's like, I understood the assignment. Bobby, look at these names on this list who only have 3 perfect passer rating games. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Kurt Warner, Otto Graham. Lamar has more than all of them. It's unreal the level of play he's at right now. It's just next level, and Denver had absolutely no answers.
I think the designs and the play calls that Todd Monken dialed up reflected what you just got at in terms of where Lamar was this week, availability-wise.
Mm-hmm.
They did not ask much from him whatsoever on the ground. And the efficiency with which he worked today. The defensive coordinator, by the way, in Denver, his comments from earlier in the week are going viral, and he really didn't mean anything by it. What's the strategy going in, Coach? Oh, well, we're going to make him beat us through the air. We want to stop the run. Well, guess what? Those days are over. When you stop the run in Baltimore, you're only halfway there. Maybe not even halfway there, based on the way this offense is chugging along. Let's get to some super chats as well. Yo Jitsu says, let's go. A great win against a solid defense. Diesel Doctor, what's up, Deez? The doctor is here. Tip the hat to the defense for playing much improved, as Sarah just alluded to off the top. Lamar with another perfect passer rating. He's going to mess around. and land that third MVP. That's something that Derrick Henry spoke about post-game with Tracy Wolfson, and Lamar was in that interview as well. Listen to this.
The dynamic duo of these two here, and what can you say about how explosive this offense was? Describe the clinic you put on today.
Oh, man, I don't even know what to call it. I always say it's a pick your poison offense, and that's pretty much what we showed today. He ran the ball, you know how he always do. Justice came through. Offensive line played terrific. Tight ends, receivers, whole 9 yards. Everyone did their job. That's why we were successful.
Derrick, for you, another 100-yard game, but over 1,000 yards, and it's just week 9. What is it about this Baltimore, this team, that allows you to have such success?
Well, I think it's everybody involved, but it starts with him. You know, he opens it up for everybody, the type of play he is. Man, it's so dynamic. He makes everybody's job easier. You know, when the ball's in his hands, and you know we're in a good spot.
Get ready for the end, Sarah.
Just locking in all 11 of us, focus on execution and getting to the end zone. And you know, our play callers doing a great job as well, our coaches.
You know, I know it's early, but you two are going to have to duke it out for the MVP later this season. How are you going to handle that?
No, that's his. That's his. He deserves it all, man. MVP. MV3, what we call it, MV3.
Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy.
That's courtesy of CBS, their audio. And Sarah, it was a little bit muffled there towards the end, but when Tracy said you guys are going to have to duke it out for MVP, Derrick stopped her in her tracks. And he has before, obviously, earlier in the year. No, that's his. That's his. He deserves it. He deserves it all. MVP, MV3. What a dynamic duo these two have become in such a short amount of time.
It's funny the way she set up the question saying that you guys are going to have to duke it out. If only she knew these two guys. Some of the most humble players I've ever come across.
Right.
Like some of the most talented. Bobby, both of them were asked about their records today. Lamar tying the passer rating record and Derrick Henry passing Barry Sanders on the rushing touchdowns list. He's now number 10 overall.
Yeah.
Both of them immediately give glory to God. Immediately, just not even. Ugh. So when she says you're gonna have to duke it out, they're like, nah, no, give it to the other one, give it to the other one.
Yeah.
But Derrick Henry's right. I mean, Lamar Jackson is the engine that keeps this thing going, and they make each other better 1,000%. 1,000%. How much fun do these two guys have to be having to just play with each other? Again, I say this, I've said it before, I'll say it again. We are witnessing history right now, the way we witnessed it with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Soak it up, enjoy it, and like every single second, savor it.
2 more super chats. Lil X Nation says this offense is not flocking around. EDC, get on the phone. We're an average defense away from being able to knock off Mahomes and bring home that trophy. And Phil Black checking in with a $20 super chat donation says,
Whoop, whoop.
just because I love this team and this channel, let's go. We appreciate all you guys for
Let's
dropping
go,
in
Phil.
your super chat donations. And my, oh my, the history and the accolades, they are endless. Again, it took Derrick not even 9 games, Sarah, to reach 1,000 rushing yards. He's averaging over 6 yards per carry. Okay. He's over 1,000 yards after the season, as Jameson noted in real time after gaining 42 yards on that drive. He's the first Ravens running back to produce a 1,000-yard rushing season since Mark Ingram did so back in 2019 during that 14-2 campaign. And Sarah, what did he say post-game? He wasn't even happy with today's performance. He's back to the drawing board for the guy. Like, unbelievable.
He was not happy. He absolutely was not happy. Like he's like, I appreciate you guys. I know that I had 2 touchdowns, and I know that, I'm already at 1,000 yards rushing, and, I know I've now surpassed Barry Sanders, but I'm actually unhappy with today's performance. Okay, well, this is why you're great, because this is what greatness looks like. It's constantly being unsatisfied.
The quote post-game is, I'm not happy with the way I played. I need to be better the next game. It's just like, look out. And Lamar is the exact same way. He was phenomenal today, as we've already discussed. A bunch of different angles you can look at it. How about throws past the sticks? 8 for 8, 195 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a perfect passer rating.
Yeah.
He picked them apart. He and Zay were phenomenal. Phenomenal vertically, phenomenally when things break down. Lamar opens up steps up in the pocket, evades pressure, and Zay just continues to be creative with his route running. When those two are in improv mode, look out. It's similar to what Lamar and Mark Andrews have had in past years, and it's so hard to defend.
Well, it's reminiscent of, you just love it when he's being pulled in the beginning of the fourth quarter. It's absolutely reminiscent of that. I mean, I just love it when they say Josh Johnson comes in, when he's coming off a good play. Yeah.
Right.
Let me clarify.
Yeah. No question.
But he and Zay started dealing. Bobby, the Broncos were doing what the defensive coordinator said they should do, which is they put all their resources on stopping the run. And coming into this game, where were they ranked in stopping the run? I know I've got it in here somewhere. We'll look it up a little bit later.
Denver? Denver was a top 10.
Okay, so they're top 10. And again, like you said, because of the history behind what people have said about Lamar Jackson, they see that as a slight. Clearly, that's every defensive coordinator's goal. It's to stop a team's rushing attack. And so here you have it here. They're
coming into the game.
Seventh coming to the game, giving up 106. They gave up much more than that. And so he's sitting there talking about how, that's the goal. Like, we want to stop the running game. And fine, like, I would too. It's Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I would too. Would you take Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, or Lamar and maybe one of the receivers? And they had Pat Surtain, who, by the way, did very little in this game. But the key was Zay Flowers today. What's funny is in the pregame show, the preview show that we did on Friday, is I thought one of the tight ends might, really burst out onto the scene.
No need.
I was like, oh, they'll put Pat Surtain on Zay and try to just keep him quiet all day. Nah. And that one drive, I think it was the one. Remember, they got the interception on the first drive. Ravens couldn't take advantage of it. They go 3 and out. And then they make them, the defense stops them by punting into the 1 yard line. Defense stops them. Ravens get the ball back. And then Lamar just starts dealing. He had Zay Flowers for 23 yards. Then Justice Hill for 24. That was a gorgeous, just drop right into the bread basket. Justice Hill, so underrated as a receiver. My goodness, just looks it in over his shoulder, catches it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. I think I was trying to. The way you were referring that made me think like Lamar can loft the ball with such touch. He lofts it.
Yes, and that touch feels like it's more automatic. It's not like he never did it before, but it's more automatic these days. I've watched other veteran quarterbacks do that, right? So like when you watch like Russell Wilson come in, right, over for the Steelers. Well, I don't know why I'm bringing up them, but I just know that they moved quarterbacks because they needed somebody that could actually threaten downfield.
Yeah.
And they weren't getting that from Justin Fields. And then so you see a veteran like Russell Wilson come in and he just like drops it in. Mm-hmm. And that's what veterans do after some time and after some chemistry. And Lamar Jackson is doing that more automatically. Anyway, he does all that. And then he gets Zay for the 7-yard touchdown, which, by the way, that one was pretty sweet too, because he evades the pass rush. He just like, whoop, and guys go right by. He makes it look so effortless. He makes it look so easy. Then he hit Zay on the 7-yarder, and then he hit him later for that 53-yarder where Zay's getting all the yak. And we all predicted it. We were like, welp, that defensive game plan didn't work for you because of Lamar's arm and one Zay Flowers.
Yep.
So go ahead and make your move and adjust, because you can't keep letting Zay get these 53-yard touchdowns. So they did, and all of a sudden, Derrick and Justice start hammering away. It was like the easiest adjustment Todd Monken ever had to make in the history of offensive coordinators. Where it's like, oh, so now you're gonna pull the safety back. Okay, got you. Here comes Derrick and Justice.
Oh, and Sarah, on that 53-yarder, the hookup between Lamar and Zay that you just referenced.
Yeah.
First of all, the yak was on full display. To your point, there were 5 Denver Broncos in pursuit of Zay, and he just dusts them. He dusts them all. Okay, shout out Rashad Bateman for sticking his body right there in the mix and offering up a key block. Not sure Zay actually needed it, but he was down there as a willing blocker trying to get Zay in for 6. And how about this? I'm just going to put these numbers up on the screen once more. rankings for the Denver defense entering today. Okay. A lot of these are top 10. Matter of fact, the only ranking defensively, Sarah, league-wide for the Broncos entering outside the top 10 entering today was their third down defense, and they were middle of the road, 16th. Every other ranking is top 10. Okay. Going in today, the Broncos averaged 4.4 yards per play allowed, and that was first in the NFL, defensively speaking. The Ravens finished today 7.3.
Yeah.
They averaged 7.3 yards per play against one of the top-ranked defenses in the entire league, and they hung a 41 burger on them.
Yeah.
If that doesn't tell you what this ceiling is like and what it looks like in Baltimore, I don't know what does. This game was not close, and at one point, the Ravens scored 7 consecutive times. 7.
Yes. Well, it started after that, after the punt and then the stop. It was after that. It was their second drive that they started scoring and didn't stop for seven times. And here's the thing, Bobby, that number that you just gave out was massive. How about this one? Broncos were ranked third in points per game. They'd only been giving up 15.
Yeah.
15, and they gave up 41 to the Ravens. They almost tripled it. It's crazy. I mean, you can go down this list.
Yeah.
Total defense, they usually give up 282.6. Ravens hung almost 400.
Yep.
Rush defense, 106. Ravens hung, where's rush?
127.
127.
But
Felt like a
more
lot.
on that
It felt
number?
like a lot more than that, by the way. But it just, you can go to every single category. But I will say this, and this is obviously nothing to take away from the Ravens offense because they do this week in and week out, minus some of the divisional opponents. But I will say this, and I said it on Friday in our preview episode. I said Denver's defense might be good, but they haven't really been tested like they would with the Ravens. They had only faced one offense that had been top 10 DVOA in offense.
Yes.
So I think
Which
the
was
Ravens,
Tampa, right?
yes, which was Tampa, and the Ravens just exposed them big time.
So what was this note that I had here just a second ago? You were talking about the rushing yards. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Denver played them pretty well. I mean, obviously not through the pass in the first half, but the Ravens had just 24 yards on the ground after the first half. They finished with 127, like we just mentioned. That's 100. That's 120. What? Wait a second. 24 yards in the yeah. These guys had 103 rushing yards in the second half. They can just turn it on.
Yeah.
Whenever they need to.
Yeah.
King Henry leads the way, 23 carries for 106 yards, 2 touchdowns, average of 4.6. Justice Hill, Sarah, is there anybody that's more earned the right to be a part of this offense when Keaton Mitchell gets back than this guy?
Oh,
Justice is just a part of so many positive things, whether it be as a special teamer, whether it be in the screen game, whether it be as a blitz picker-upper, whether it be on the ground. He only gets 5 carries, 15 yards. He did have that long of 8, which I believe went for a first. But talk about an unsung guy. I hope Todd is able to keep him involved when Keaton's eventual return comes. And you would think that's imminent.
yeah.
They did not activate him from PUP today, meaning he's still in the middle of his 21-day activation window. I believe he's 10 days into a 21-day window. So maybe Thursday's the one. Maybe they were like, hey, it's such a quick turnaround. Why dress him today when we can give him an extra week? But it's, and then he gets a mini bye after the Thursday night game. That would make sense.
Speaking of unsung guys, Pat Ricard got his first touchdown catch of the season.
Let's go, Pat.
Let's go, Pat. And listen, Todd or Greg Roman back in the day, overused him in the passing game. Ricard under Monken has returned to more of a traditional fullback role, but it's nice to feed him every once in a while. So for him to go and get his first touchdown catch, and then this is what I also like about Lamar is he knows when it's big moments for others. He was the first one down there to celebrate with Pat Ricard. Pat Ricard, by the way, after he got back to the sideline, he was not done. He was not done celebrating. Like, he was super, super happy for that touchdown catch. But I just love how Lamar is going off and celebrating everybody else. And then Derrick Henry turns around and says, "No, I'm celebrating you. You're MV3," right? Just a very selfless team for sure, and celebrating each other's moments.
42. It had to have been super sweet because of dropping that one on primetime, right? Down in Tampa against the Bucs not long ago. So good for him to get back in the scoring column. Some other notes as well. Zay Flowers, first Ravens player to total 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdown catches in a game since Hollywood Brown. Marquise did so back in 2019. You mentioned the big accolade there for Derrick Henry, surpassing the Hall of Famer Barry Sanders for number 10 in all-time NFL rushing touchdowns, scoring his 100th. I saw an insane statistic from a payment standpoint. Derrick Henry is the 285th highest paid player in the NFL. 285 overall in the league in terms of monetary value. Speaking of contractual things, Brian McFarland of the Ravens salary cap analysis world has confirmed this note, but he believes that Derrick has a $500,000 incentive for reaching 13 touchdowns.
Which
he believed that is for total touchdowns, not just rushing. And I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I believe he hit that today, correct?
So
he said 11 rushing TDs and 2. I don't know at what point during the game he said that. So let's see what he had coming into the game.
Yeah, you can check that. I'll get to some super chat donations here in the meantime. We appreciate you guys for being with us as always. Over 2,300 of you concurrently watching us tonight. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content. And if you're in the Twitter space, consider coming over to YouTube and joining the show that way. Voldigard says, with the numbers today, Zay is now top 10 in receiving yards, close to top 5, minus some spots, but close. Hybrid Theories just throwing around super chat donations. We appreciate you, Hybrid.
Nice.
Brandon says it should be no debate. Zay is wide receiver 1 for this team. Jay BMore56B says, let's have Zach back on and get his Ravens passing game. LOL. More super chat donations from Hybrid Theory. King95 says, I was at the game. The crowd was electric. MV3 incoming. I was at the BMore Around Town tailgate. That place was lit up, and it was a beautifully crisp fall day. More on that tailgate towards the end of the show. Adam says, called the score for this game on Tuesday, so today's game felt great to watch. Oh, Adam called it. Okay. 41-10, Adam, you had that? The script loves the Ravens this year, by the way. The NFL script, yes.
Yeah.
Gabe says.
They didn't last week.
Yeah, right, exactly. Gabe says 32, meaning Marcus Williams takes flack, but 31 is the target on defense.
21.
Sheesh. What's
21. That? You said 31. 21.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
21. Gabe referring to Marcus and Brandon Stevens. We'll get to the defense in just a bit. James says the defense improved. Let's keep getting better. Plus DE.
He wants the defense to get better and still get a defensive end pass rusher.
Ah, yes. Zach says Pat Surtain, who? The all-pro corner that got a big extension this offseason for Denver. He's a heck of a player. How about, they kept him out of the ball game today, Sarah, and he actually, Nelson Aguilar got him to hold at one point. He got a holding call on Pat Surtain. I thought that was a little weak, but
Zay got a couple too.
Yes, he did.
Well, it was a little weak, but remember, it seemed a little weak at first, but then they kept rolling it, and then it was like, then they saw where it was later on. So it seemed soft at first. It was just because they had not seen it yet, and then the
replay.
The tape, the replay kept going, and they're like, oh, there it is.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Hybrid says Lot H is always the tailgate place to be. If you know, you know. Channel 11 was shoving their cameras in our food again. Okay. Maybe I'll do my pregame show from there one day. And Eileen Nolan says, Bobby, did you get a date?
I can't wait to hear the story.
The pregame show that Sarah has not gotten the full tea on. We will towards the end.
The chat is nonstop asking about this.
Well,
I have no clue what happened.
Well, so there's a lot to discuss.
At the end of this.
There's a lot to discuss.
We'll talk dating, David. What do we do? We call you, Bobby Baltimore, Bobby New York. What's this? Dating Bobby, single Bobby. Well, let's hear the stories from single Bobby.
You're going to hear Everything. I'm going to give you every single detail. And honestly, everybody had a front row seat to it because of the fact that it happened on the air. We're going to get to that at the end. I promise
Bobby
you.
Flav. Flav.
Let's get our GEHA read in here before we continue the conversation. And without Government Employees Health Association support, we could not do what we do here in post-game live format at the rate that we're going without their just tremendous belief in what we're building. We are so thrilled to be with them for yet another football season, and they have a message for the flock. New season is upon us. That means another amazing one for the city of Baltimore. And while your favorite team plans their future, the Government Employees Health Association, a.k.a. GEHA, can help you plan for yours. GEHA has offered medical and dental benefits for more than 87 years, designed to meet the needs of federal employees and retirees, military retirees, and their families. And with over 2 million members and growing, GEHA continues to serve those members and families who serve all of us every single day. GEHA is a proud partner of the Baltimore Ravens, and they are providing health and dental benefits for federal employees since 1937. You can learn more by visiting GEHA.com/RavensVault. That is a link that we have included as a pinned comment in the live chat. It's also at the top of the show notes. And spoiler alert, whether you're interested or not, clicking on that would help us out immensely. Go check it out. With the screen share feature right now, you're seeing the website. It is super professionally made, easy to navigate, and GEHA is just a bunch of awesome people based out of Kansas City, serving worldwide. Go check them out if you haven't already done so by using the link that we have included in the top of the show notes. Partner, where to next?
Okay, so 2 more things on offense that I have. Maybe you have more before we flip over to the defense. Number one, we need to talk about predictions here. It obviously seems very okay, so where exactly is Derrick Henry now in total rushing yards? We're over 1,000, but where over? Because this matters, right? We have 17 games. How much is he going to need to average in order to hit 2,000 for the year? And by the way, if he gets anywhere close, he and Todd are going to sell out. Like they're going for it. So,
well, I'll do the number for you right now.
Okay.
So 946 coming into today.
946.
He finished with 106.
Okay.
So 946 plus 106 gets us to 1,052.
Okay, 1,052. And he's got 8 games left.
And he's got they've now played 9 games. There's 17 of them. So yes.
So basically 9, okay, 8. He's going to need 118 per game. Now, he that'll be tough to do, but if he has a couple where he's just popping off and is closer to 150, that'll work. I'm saying this because when I saw that it's only week 9 and he's got 1,000, I'm like, oh, for sure he's going to have 2. But I'm like, wait a minute, that's going to be easier said than done. He's a little bit under pace as well as he's been in these first few games.
But boy, that could change in an instant.
That could change because remember, Monken did forget about him against KC. Let's just not forget about him. But the players since 2014 with 1,000 plus rush yards and 12 plus TDs. Oh, by the way, I looked it up. He is now at 13. So he hit that 500K incentive.
Beautiful.
If the incentive is correct. So anyway, players with since 2014 with 1,000 rush yards and 12 plus TDs in their team's first 10 games. 2019, Christian McCaffrey. And now 2024, Derrick Henry. Where'd you get this photo with all these?
Yeah, this is kind of a cool photo. This was a cover story. Yeah, this was a past Derrick Henry cover story that I thought was cool. Obviously this dude had a ridiculously decorated high school career, goes on to become a stud at Alabama. And we know what he is as a bona fide future Hall of Famer so far, 10 plus years into this league. So he really is just, he's a walking phenomenon, and the numbers could just wow you. But they're endless too. These numbers are endless. Look at what he's doing. First in rushing attempts, first in rushing yards, first in yards per carry, first in rushing touchdowns. He's the first player to lead the NFL in all 4 categories since 1963 when the great Jim Brown did so. So this is somebody who's, again, to use this, I'm using it probably too much, but I think it warrants repeat because of his age and because of the cliff that everybody talks about. He's an ascending player at 30. He turns 31 next month.
Yeah, it's
and yet
crazy.
here he is doing things like Jim Brown-esque and Barry Sanders-esque and one-of-one-esque, because at the end of the day, that's what number 22 is.
Bobby, okay, so you know how he said, we talked about it, that he thought he had a bad game?
Yeah.
I'm remembering the two things. Or at least I remember two things. Maybe he has more than two things.
Okay.
The two things where he did stumble a little bit. He did have that fumble.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't lost, he fumbled it. So I can't remember. Was it Kolar that recovered? Somebody, I think it was a tight end that recovered. So he had the fumble, so you know he's ticked about that. The other thing, remember the miscommunication he and Lamar had?
That was tough.
It looked like a speed option. I got to go back and watch. But I think they were out of the pistol doing a speed option to the left. And Lamar went to run it. And I think the touchdown was there because the defensive end was all over Lamar. There was nothing. Lamar has escaped things before. There was nothing he could do on that one. It was actually really fortunate that when Lamar turned to, toss it, good thing he didn't. Like, what if it was automatic and you just kind of like went to toss it and he's not there?
No doubt.
So it's a good thing that Lamar peeked first to make sure he saw his guy. And then he was like, oh, he's not there. So I saw a few people criticizing Monken on that. I'm not buying that. That's like equivalent to blaming your defensive coordinator when you drop four interceptions.
I would agree.
Although the coordinator had his own issues. Like, there's plenty of things to criticize in the coordinator. You don't have to give him the dropped interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, you got too cute. I'm like, not really. That's a pretty standard option between Lamar and Derek in the red zone that looked like it would have set up a touchdown. So I bet Derek is referring to that also when he says, I feel like I had a bad game. He had a fumble and there was that miscommunication. It could have been on Lamar, but I don't think it was. I think with the way Derek was acting, it seemed like he was pointing the finger at himself. So it just goes to show you on a historic game, you can get even better. But Bobby, here we are talking about unreal greatness from Henry, unreal greatness from Lamar. Zay Flowers, absolutely a stud in the first half, completely changed the game the second half. I think it'd be fair to say that John Harbaugh's a little bit jealous.
Man, I'd like to be Lamar right now. That would be amazing. I always joke with the guys. I got to joke with Lamar, man. What's it like to be able to throw a ball like that? Man, if I could throw a ball like that, it'd be the greatest thing in the world. Or I say to the guys, what's it like to be 6'6", 340 pounds of just, massive humanity, knocking people off the ball? I would love to be able to do that. Can you imagine being that big and walking in a bar? Can you imagine what that'd be like? I'd love to be Zay Flowers. Can you imagine being able to catch and run like that? Be that quick? I can't even imagine what that's like. What was your question?
Yeah, he was in bubbly mode there. By the way, 5'9", $170. I know what it's like to walk into a bar as if I'm Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
Not with the accolades, not with the name, but with the stature. Yeah.
You're right. Well,
Lamar,
funny.
not so much.
Yeah. But what's funny is I can sympathize with John Harbaugh, especially as you get older. It's funny, Bobby. So I told you on Halloween morning, I went to, this is totally a tangent, sorry. But on Halloween morning, I went to a high fitness class. It's like a cardio class. We're doing stuff to music for an hour straight.
Just so you guys know, this is how much Sarah loves being with us all. She's got a lot to do after the show, and she's willingly telling a story right now. She loves being with us. This is exactly what's happening right now. Continue.
Oh, but it's just a story about me, and probably people don't want to hear. But anyway, I go to this high fitness class, and because it was Halloween day, every workout we did was to a Halloween song. So our instructor's like, hey, can I record this one? And we all wanted to get, all together and tight into the camera. So we're like, okay, let's go. My entire time that I've been going to this class with her, I watch her and I think that's how I look. And then I got the camera view and I'm clearly 10 years older and not moving and jumping as high. And in my mind, I was. So when John Harbaugh was like, could you imagine? I'm like, yeah, I get it. Cause I think I'm more athletic than I am. And then you put yourself up against some of the as he's doing, the Lamar Jacksons and Derrick Henrys of the world. And it's like, no, I can't imagine. I wish I could, but I can't. It's absolutely insane what these guys can do.
Think about what he has to deal with. And you know, from all your years in the building, and I know from my years in the locker room, when you're walking around as a normal human with the one-of-ones of the world, it's not great for the psyche. You know, it can be difficult if you don't allow yourself to kind of be disciplined by keeping your blinders up. You know, this is not what everybody looks like around the world on a daily basis in most people's office spaces. I have a couple more offensive notes.
Okay.
We got to get to super chat features, and then you want to transition to defense?
Sure
Okay.
thing.
Just a couple small ones from me here. One has to do with John Harbaugh. A great challenge there in the opening quarter to question the spot on that 4th and 1 conversion for Denver. That was just an early kind of opportunity there to get your offense an opportunity. Let's see. Deontay Johnson, very light load for him. It was reported pregame, I should say, from Tracy Wolfson and others that he was going to be around that 15 to 20 snap count number. To just kind of get himself acclimated, familiarize himself with the playbook. And of course, he was their acquisition at the beginning of the deadline last week. We'll see if they're not done. The deadline is Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. So be curious to see what that final number is for Deontay. And I think that was all I had. You ready for some super chats?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right. Tony says, toward the end, penalties started to worry me, but we pulled it off and held them to 10 points. Progress made. Defensive end is definitely the move to make. We're going to talk about that position in just a second because up front, particularly when it comes to the interior defensive line, they were undermanned and they had to make some practice squad call-ups as a result earlier today. By the way, the penalty number, finals for the Ravens, 6, which negated 53 yards. Denver had 9 for 71. JP Buggs says the Ravens just dominated a potential playoff team, and I feel no joy, and I hate that I feel no joy about this. Where in the ever-loving world was this team last week? I vibe with Lamar. Stay hungry. Chef Trez says, open the phone lines. Let the flock celebrate. Trez
always wants in.
Oh,
Chef's got things to say.
Chef, you know the post of the post is coming up later on. You already know that. Captain Hard says, love the win, but I don't think the defense played that great. A lot of missed throws from Bo. We're going to get to those. Hybrid said, Lot H. Oh, we're fully caught up to speed. Hybrid, you're getting two displayed here. Lot H is always the tailgate place to be. If you know, you know. Channel 11 was shoving their cameras in our food again, making me want to check that out next time. Okay, defensive side of the ball. And I think a good place to start, Sarah, is your post-game tweet, actually. I thought that was kind of a good way to kick things off, which was this
full of
one.
Wisdom.
Yeah. I'll let you read it.
I'm just joking.
I was going to give you that.
I was thinking that you were going to push back and make fun of me, not agree with me.
I was going to give it to you.
No. So, no, definitely for the defense. Look, they gave up 10 points. And yes, it was to a rookie quarterback, but it was to a rookie quarterback that just won, rookie offensive player of the month over Jaden Daniels.
Well, Jaden's in the NFC.
This was it only conference. AFC?
Yeah. Oh, they do it. They do those awards by conference, but still, there were some other quarterbacks that were certainly in the mix there.
My bad. Thank you for clarification.
Well, I can't think of one off the top of my head. Chicago's in the NFC too, so that takes Caleb Williams out of it. But
yeah.
With that said, a great honor for Bo.
Sure. Like one of the better rookies playing right now. But the point is like you gotta stop the bleeding at some point. And you got demolished by Jameis last week. Yeah. Just demolished. And yes, there were injuries for sure.
By the way.
What's that?
Who got demolished today, by the way. We'll get to that later on in the AFC North wraparound.
Oh, good. So anyway, you got to stop the bleeding at some point. And this defense didn't give up any second half points. And a big reason for that is because the defense was the Broncos were 1-5 on 4th down. Mm-hmm. Time and time again, the defense made stops both on 3rd and 4th down. And the one time that they did allow the conversion on 4th down is the Broncos had to go deep into their playbook and put a trick play and have their receiver throw a touchdown catch to Bo Nix. Yep. And to be honest, they scored, but it's not like the Ravens were completely fooled. And like, I think it was Kyle Van Noy hit. Who was it? Was it Sutton that threw it? Do you remember?
I believe it was Sutton to Nix.
Yeah. Sutton. So Kyle Van Noy blew him up, and then Nix had to, have kind of a little bit of a box out kind of a grab. So it's not fun to get, a catch over you as a defensive back when you're Bo Nix. But again, it was like this trick play. It was the only time they can convert on 4th down. Then they tried 5 times. Like, that's stepping up on 3rd and 4th down when you need to. Then on top of it, the Broncos were 1 of 4 in the red zone. So they gave up plenty of yards. I'm here for a bend but don't break. Like, I think I've adjusted my expectations for this defense. And a bend but don't break would get it done these days, right? Like, I just had to adjust my expectations. Like, the 2023 defense isn't coming back. It's just not. And so you need a defense that has confidence on 3rd and 4th down that they can get off the field. And I'm not at all saying that everything's fixed. It's going to be all right. If they did that against Patrick Mahomes, then I'd be feeling a certain way. But you got to start turning it around somewhere. And if this can give them a little bit of momentum, just even a little bit of momentum. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens have given up the most 4th quarter points coming into this game. I think it was like 93 that they had given up.
Yeah.
And so just start turning it around somewhere. And they have to hope that this was the beginning of a turnaround that can at least start giving them a little bit more confidence. They're going to have for sure their moments. It's going to happen. But, okay, we did it against a rookie quarterback. Check. Now, what can we do next?
So personnel-wise, there's a lot to kind of unpack here in terms of what the Ravens decided to do today lineup-wise. So first of all, to your point of giving up a lot of yards, they certainly did that. 319 to be exact for Denver, 396 for the Ravens. So another week, another benching. Eddie Jackson was this week. Marcus Williams was last. Your prediction came true. Marcus did return to play. We'll get to him in just a bit.
That was an easy prediction, Bobby. You should have been there with me.
Maybe. There were 2 healthy scratches today. And I think there's one that's more disappointing than the other. David Ojabo and Eddie Jackson were both healthy scratches. If David has fallen victim to the numbers game back-to-back weeks, that's one thing, given the need to beef up the interior defensive line with Michael Pierce being down, with Brent Urban in concussion protocol, and Travis Jones hobbling. Did he play today?
You're talking about David Ojabo?
Did Travis Jones play today? Remember, Chris Wormley and Josh Tupou were both called up from the practice squad. I would love to know what Travis Jones's final snap count was.
I was about to say he had that block at the line of scrimmage, but that was Broderick Washington.
That was Broderick.
Yeah.
So I think, David, there's a chance, and maybe the coaches will tell you that David was a healthy fell victim to a numbers game because of the need to beef up the interior part of the defensive line. Honestly, whether that's the case or not, it's been a disappointing year for David, who was a popular breakout candidate. They took a flyer on him out of Michigan after the Achilles tear, and who would have been a bona fide top 15, top 20 pick a couple years ago, tears the Achilles, terrible, obviously, loses his rookie season, gets banged up last year a little bit. The Ravens are hoping that he's going to develop, and it just, at this point, has not panned out for him. So what is this, year 3 for David, I think now? So the clock is ticking.
Well, it's coming up 2 injury years, but it is tough because they had to go out and get Yannick Ngakoue, and they're playing him over Ojabo. Travis Jones did play today. I don't know how much, but he's listed in the substitutions.
Okay.
So he played.
All right. I would love to see that snap count tomorrow. We'll look for that in the morning when the beat reporters tweet it out.
Yeah, they'll update the game book at some point tonight.
Yeah. One player who certainly deserves his flowers is Kadri's guy. He was the preseason favorite for Q.
Kadri probably tagged me 3 or 4 times during the game. Whenever Tavius Robinson, so I had to do a tweet myself on Tavius Robinson because I was like, my goodness, Q clearly wants me to give him love, and I should. I'm happy to do it, but he just kept tagging me. See, Sarah? I told you. See, the thing is Q is trying to make up for his poor prediction last year. And I hope he's right on this one, but this was his first release good moments, but this was a game for Tavius right here.
Yes, it was. Craig Tanio in the live chat saying that he has Travis's snap count at 12. We'll see if that holds up tomorrow. Appreciate it, Craig. But yeah, to your point, this was a deserving tweet, I think, that Tavius got from you here. 2 sacks, 4 total QB hits, a tackle for loss, and a pass deflection. He was all over the field. And I thought Kyle Hamilton had a really great game as well, as usual. 10 total tackles, led the way. That was a game high, 7 of which were solo. He had a tackle for loss. He had a pass deflection as well. Trenton Simpson was flying around, Sarah, especially towards the end there. 9 total tackles, 7 of which were solo, a sack at the end, a pass deflection, and a quarterback hit. As you mentioned, Broderick Washington, who's been quiet this year, had a pass deflection. Brandon Stevens had a tough game at times in terms of his man coverage assignments. Did have a penalty that was thrown on him at one point as well. I believe that was in the first half. He was flagged for pass interference. Ended up setting the Broncos up nicely for a touchdown score there. And we'll get into some other notes as well.
Well, you just went through a ton there. Let me say this. Okay, so it's certainly a good sign that somebody stepped up in the pass rush department. It felt to me, until Tavius started doing it and Trenton Simpson got a sack later, like Bo Nix yet again just had like all day nonstop. And this secondary, you can't afford that. And as much as the secondary is ranked 32nd in the league, and we have rightfully criticized them for that, obviously the pass rush is not only not helping, but they're hurting when you're giving them that much time. Like, you can only be expected to cover for so long. So this is a great step forward for Tavius Robinson. You mentioned Trenton Simpson. They let him cook. I mean, he wrapped up Bo Nix. Love that celebration. He's super happy. So that's good to see these guys step up. But Bobby, I don't think that this deters Eric DaCosta one bit. Not one bit from picking up the phone tomorrow or tonight with some of the teams he surely has been in contact with teams that he surely has made, I don't know, offers or, plans of offers or stuff like that. And there was a lot of news today on pass rushers being out there. I know that you've been on top of it a bit.
Za'Darius is heading. It looks as if Za'Darius is heading to Detroit.
Correct. That's what we saw that from Pro Football Talk.
Yeah.
And I also listened to a report this morning from Ian Rappaport, and he made it sound like those two have definitely been talking.
Okay.
And he felt like it may depend a little bit on whether the Browns win or lose.
So cross them off.
Yeah. So cross Za'Darius Smith off, which there was low hope on my end that they would trade him in division anyway. Listening to Ian Rappaport this morning, Clowney is definitely one that I think everybody in Baltimore would be happy with. Well, maybe not everybody. I've seen other people say no. A large swath of people would be happy with. But again, according to Ian Rappaport, Panthers are not looking to move him. So there's that. So then the last kind of hope, which I think could actually be a good one because he's in the NFC, is Azeez Ojulari. Hopefully I didn't just butcher his name.
You nailed it.
From the Giants, who going into today already had 6 sacks. So clearly on his way to double-digit sacks this season.
Yeah.
NFC guy. This is the type of guy, though, that if you're going to have to give a little bit more than, say, a 6th-rounder because he's young. He's on his last contract his last year of his rookie contract. He's ascending. They just happen to have other great pass rushers and can't pay him all. So this is one that it's like, if you do it, are you going to try to sign him, longer term? But he to me is the one. He's the one if the Giants are willing to give him up, and if the Ravens are willing to pay a, I don't know, 4th, maybe 5th if you can get away with that. But they desperately still need help in the pass rush. I mean, Bo Nix just having fun back there, looking for his guys and making the Ravens DBs look stupid. And in some ways they were, in other ways it's just like, well, they had all day. You can only cover for so long.
Yeah. And I think maybe 2 things need to be said there too. Bo, I'm happy to tip my cap to him in some plays. I think he is a lot more mobile than I thought going into today.
Yeah, that's what your guy Zach said, right?
Zach said that. He did
Yeah.
say that. But I think he's surprised them in Denver.
Yeah.
That's been the funny part in terms of the scouting report on him.
Yeah.
Bo can move. Now, there were times where he's just extended plays, and you're thinking to yourself, man, somebody's got to get to him. But we're talking about the comfortability that he had the luxury of having in the pocket. And so this is making me think of a couple things. One, I think the first half going into halftime looks completely different if he doesn't miss those 2 wide open throws, which would have went for 6-1.
For sure.
Right? Things look completely different.
That one, yes, for sure.
And 2, and this is sort of a bigger picture thing entering we're closing in on, I guess, under 48 hours now to the deadline. The Ravens just cannot afford to not be all in right now when it comes to a defensive acquisition to help them out with Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, and now Bo Nix having all the time in the world in the pocket. It's carved them up. They're 2-1 against those teams that I just mentioned with those quarterbacks, but it's not sustainable. And you're not always, like last weekend, you're not going to have these offensive outputs every single week, particularly when it comes to the in-division foes. And so Todd Monken is going to get the way things are going. I know nobody wants to talk about this, and I'll knock on wood before I say it, but Todd's going to get a lot of head coaching opportunities next hiring cycle, at least in terms of interviewing. He did last year. Lamar Jackson's 2025 cap number skyrockets to $43 million plus. The time is now. I get it. The window will always be open so long as Lamar Jackson is in this town. But the time's got to be now. I think Eric DeCosta understands that, Sarah. And hopefully something gets done between now and 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday.
Todd Monken is 58 years old. That's the hope that the Ravens can maybe cling on to if they want to keep him in town. I mean, a lot of times these owners are going for like the next young up and coming guy, the way Steve Bisciotti did with John Harbaugh and the way we've seen repeated for many teams elsewhere. But to your point, yes, like we've had a window open because of how good Lamar is in Baltimore for a long time. But you see how quick it can like turn in a blink of an eye. Like, I believe one of the reasons why they went out and got Deontay Johnson, other than the fact that it was the Panthers were just allowing Eric DeCosta to pick their pockets, and it's like, why not take it? But we saw Zay on that hip drop tackle. By the way, I said I didn't know if it was because I felt like the guy was going for a ball. It was indeed ruled a hip drop tackle, and the Browns got fined for it. I forget which defender it was, or was it the Browns or was it the week before? Yeah, it was the Browns.
Yeah, it was.
It was just announced on Saturday.
First half of Cleveland.
Yeah. It was against the Browns.
And JOK got fined for the tripping, by the way.
Yes, he did. And so it's like when you see Zay's ankle get hurt like that, and you realize that Zay is the key to making people not stuff the box against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and Justice Hill. Yeah. Then you're like, well, holy crap, if Zay goes down, we have to have some sort of depth. And here you got another separator in Deontay Johnson. And then obviously Lamar Jackson's was a little bit beat up this week with the knee and back, which is why he didn't practice for two days. And so to your point, on top of everything you just named of what could change, on top of it, you don't know if you're going to have a healthy Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson forever. Yep. And a healthy Zay Flowers and, all that kind of stuff. So I'm with you. I think that Derrick needs to go out and get a pass rusher, because while I don't know that it's going to make the defense, suddenly top 15 even, it certainly will make an impact. And you need just any small impact will help when your offense is putting up 41 points or whatever they're averaging, which is surely above 30 at this point.
Yep. Let's see. Let's get some super chats in here. We're talking defense right now. If you guys want to weigh in with a super chat comment, Alex Panduro says, Chihu. Oh, okay. Blessing from Hawaii. Is that hello in Hawaiian? Maybe.
Isn't that just hola?
Well,
no. Aloha is what I meant to say.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, they're speaking
You're like,
Spanish
no, that's
in
Spanish.
Hawaii?
I meant aloha.
Well, maybe it's greetings. Anyway, what's up, Alex? As I just completely botched another super chat.
Let's just read the super chats.
Blessing from Hawaii, Sarah and Bobby. Oh, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's blessing. Chihu means
It's a
blessing.
here we go. I just Googled it. According to AI overview on Google,
Okay.
a Polynesian yell, a Polynesian yell. Okay, he'll get back to us.
All right, Alex.
Okay.
We appreciate you, Alex. Ravens up, thumbs up. Todd Monken called a magnificent game. Yes, sir. That's true. Spiritual War Exposed says, I kind of wish it wasn't a blowout. Keep pressure on EDC. First half, Bo had all day back there. Thor says, need a stud pass rusher to become true contenders. Will says, the case of the dropsies continues. 3 in 2 games. Flock up. Rashad Bateman did have a drop today. It was on a tight window throw that Lamar tucked in there. He had to grab it. Did not grab it. The Jugs machine reps, though, did pay off for Ardarius Washington, Sarah, who cashed in on that opening drive. Play 2 of the afternoon from Bo Nix, courtesy of the pass deflection. Who deflected that one? Let's see. Was it KVN?
No. Well, KVN, no. I don't think KVN officially deflected it, but I think he reached up enough that it made Bo Nix kind of overthrow it. So deflected off of his own receiver's hand and into Ardarius Washington's.
Gotcha. Thank you. I was driving
Chihu is what we yell when celebrating, LOL. And I just was going to say, I just looked it up on Urban Dictionary, says the same thing.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. We're fully caught up on Super Chat donations. We've got over 2,700 of you joining us concurrently right now. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell. We're coming up on 20,000 subs, and we would love for you to help us reach that milestone. What other notes here?
Speaking of that play, sorry, let me get this off. Okay. There it is. It's Kyle Van Noy right there on the top of the screen split.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's got to go over Kyle Van Noy, and it bounces off the fingers. Is that 84?
Yeah.
And right into Ardarius Washington. So you may have seen in the previous clips, both Ardarius Washington here got a game ball.
Yep.
And Tavius Robinson here got a game ball. And this is what I'm talking about with just like momentum. Like sometimes you just got to get moving. And so it's smart of John Harbaugh to recognize these two guys, give them game balls, and see if these young guys can come in and help wherever you can. I mean, Ardarius Washington has been criticized, and again, rightfully so, for dropping interceptions. The pass rush has been criticized. Tavius Robinson, like, get them feeling good juju and just see where it can take you from there.
Some other notes that I have here, more along the lines of special teams. I thought Jordan Stout had an exceptional day.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Tylan Wallace did as well with a nice return, and he helped Jordan Stout's punt down it at the 2 in the first half to back Denver up. Justin Tucker was 2 for 2, but Sarah, he's missing right. He's missing. He's pushing everything right.
Wasn't it before left?
Yes. He's pushing it right. One of his extra points doinked in. One of his from, I believe, 37 just snuck in on the right-hand side. But I thought Jordan Stout was exceptional today, flipping the field, 2 punts, 98 yards, an average of 49, a long of 58. I mean, that's really good special teams work from him, but Justin just doesn't seem right. I will add in, just being that John Harbaugh called him out in his last press conference a week or so ago. Chris Collier had a nice return and got it to the 37, which is of course 7 more yards than it would be had he let it sail. So good stuff there for Chris, the undrafted rookie who's been getting some time as a return specialist with Deontay Hardy on IR. But those were just some special teams notes that I've had. We've barely mentioned Marcus Williams other than the fact that he started after being benched. Had a big play there in the opening drive.
Very first play on defense. Yep.
He was on the wrong end of that trick play.
Yeah.
Of the trick play that Bo Nix caught. Bo kind of shielded him with his body to reel that in. I guess I have a hard time getting on Marcus with that one. It seemed as if he had multiple assignments, and the trickery of that.
Yeah.
I don't feel that compelled.
It wasn't like he got like badly burned or or had a miscommunication. It wasn't in there.
But there were still big plays in the middle part of the field.
Yeah.
The
Well,
middle
yeah,
part of
him.
the field, led by Roquan, is been too vulnerable.
Numbers that we don't usually get until the day after, including snap count,
Yeah.
is the DBs and how many yards were thrown on them.
Yeah.
I definitely get a feeling Brandon Stevens is going to be up there
Yeah.
this week. Yeah, maybe Marcus Williams will be there.
I mean, Sutton had a 100+ yard game, Sarah. He had 7 for
Yeah.
122.
Yeah. Like I said, it was like they gave up a lot of yards, so a lot of bend but don't break. Trenton Simpson on one. I'd be very interested to find out that really long one to Sutton for 33 yards. Trenton Simpson had him initially and then passed him off, but there was nobody to pass him off to. Like, I was looking back there and Stevens was on a guy. If Stevens had left his guy, like, he would have gone all the way for a touchdown. Kyle Hamilton would have been the next nearest guy, but he just didn't seem like he was supposed to be there. So it might have just been one of those times when you call a defensive play and the offense just got the exact right look that they needed.
Sure.
Maybe that was it. But Trenton Simpson let him go to absolutely nobody. So that's where you got those 33 yards there. Like, I don't even know who you put that on because I don't know who was supposed to be there or if somebody was supposed to be there. One last note is John Harbaugh early challenged that spot on 4th and 1. Usually it's very tough to get a spot overturned, but there was a really, really good look. And I think being at home was helpful. I know the broadcast crew, and I know that they feel a lot of pride and tremendous weight in making sure that they can flash the plays up on the Jumbotron at M&T Bank Stadium. And so you could hear on TV the stadium like booing that spot, and John Harbaugh and his whole team could see that right up there. So that was some home field advantage right there because they could see it without a doubt, and he could throw that flag, and it was overturned, and it was one of 4 4th down conversions that they stopped.
The defense bent but did not break, as you've already kind of coined.
Yeah.
The reality is this defense allowed 18 passing touchdowns all of last season. And I know there's no looking back is long over, right? There's no sense in comparing, but maybe one more note before we turn the page. They allowed 18 passing touchdowns all of last year. Sarah, they hit that today in 9 games. So in one breath, it tells you how electrifying they were against the pass last year. And then in the other, it tells you how much they've regressed as a team collectively. So let's go around.
Get some help while you can.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go around the AFC North. We appreciate you guys being with us tonight. Over 2,700 of you hanging with us. And here's the way the AFC North looks through 9 weeks. And we can say that because the Steelers are on their bye. Pittsburgh leads the way at 6-2. Baltimore keeping pace at 6-3. Cincy improved to 4-5 today. We'll get to that game in just a second. And Cleveland dropped to 2-7. And Jameis Winston, Sarah, more than came back down to earth. Here were the finals. 27-10. Chargers beat the Browns. Harbaugh Bowl is inching closer and closer coming up. And, of course, the Raiders lose to Cincy 41-24. We'll take a look at the Browns.
Cincy put up 41 too.
Yeah, nice little 41 spot for Joe Burrow and company. But looking at that Cleveland game first, Jameis Winston, 24 of 46, 235 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks, and a passer rating of 50.5. He was sacked 6 times, Sarah. They had just 79 yards on the ground. And this game was dominated through the air by the Chargers. 18 of 27 was Justin Herbert, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Quentin Johnson was his number 1 guy, 4 receptions for 118 yards. Ladd McConkey, their rookie, 5 for 64. Dobbins had 85 yards on the ground, did JK, on 14 carries and 2 touchdowns. So a nice balanced performance there from the Chargers on the road in Cleveland.
Jim Harbaugh got some revenge for John Harbaugh, maybe a little bit, but
from last week.
Yeah, here, brother, I got you.
If only that would help out in the win-loss column.
Yeah, well, it does help in the win-loss column in the AFC North.
Yeah, in the division.
Yeah, let's go back to that. Browns, stick a fork in them if you haven't already. Bengals, they're sticking around at 4-5, Bobby.
The Bengals are holding around, and now for them, This is kind of they're sort of in must-win territory. That's maybe a little dramatic for Week 10 going up, but this is an in-division game. How about this? They're in must-win territory Thursday night if they want the division.
Bro, the
right?
Ravens can the Ravens can just make them just feel just gross in their gut. Just a big gut punch. The Raven, it still won't completely push them out because I'm looking at how many teams are right around 500. Like there's a ton, and that's what this league is built for. It's parity. But if the Ravens, where's the game? It's in Baltimore, right?
Thursday night, baby.
Oh, that's right. This is alternate
prime
helmet,
time, baby. Let's run
alternate helmet look. Let's go. Oh, I can't wait to see that. Okay. So we're in Baltimore, and by the way, Lamar got some extra rest. He's basically out almost the entire fourth quarter. Okay, she already gave Lamar some rest on this short week. That's as much as D-Bank says, Sarah, chill. I'm not chilling. Does it look like I'm ready to chill? Listen,
never.
The Ravens can deliver a gut punch on Thursday night, push the Bengals to 4-6. Put themselves 7-3. The reverse of that is the Bengals would be exactly 500. Then the Ravens would basically be 2 games above 500. It's just a massive, massive, massive game. And they're both coming off of 41-point ventures on offense.
Burrow put up a Jackson 5 today, did Joe. 27 of 39, 251 yards, 5 touchdowns, a pick. A quarterback rating of 115.5. Chase Brown had 120 on the ground. Gesicki, Mike, their tight end, was their top receiver, 5 for 100. Jamar went 7 for 43. Joe was just spreading out the football, beats the Raiders 2-7. They're sunk. Gardner Minshew was benched. So here we have it. 2 quarterbacks that have beaten the Ravens, Sarah. Gardner and Jameis are now having it handed to them what feels like on a weekly basis. And make no mistake about it, Jameis's stat line this week could have been and should have been similar last week, but it wasn't because of the missed opportunities. Sarah, he had 3 interceptions today. He could have had 4 last week, and he should have had at least 1.
Yep.
Right? At least.
1,000%.
Kyle's was the gift. There were plenty others as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is one of the reasons, I'm sure, why they decided to bench Eddie Jackson today.
And listen, the Bengals defense is just, doo-doo. They've been almost as bad as the Ravens. If the Ravens can take this momentum, if you can get a new pass rusher, it's still probably going to be a shootout, right? But make it a little bit more of a comfortable shootout. If you can put some pressure on Joe Burrow, it has to be done. It has to be done. So wouldn't surprise me, Bobby, if we once again, because these teams know each other so well, I don't expect, Lamar Jackson, give him some rest days again. The goal this week is rest. This team. You just saw them a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Get your mental reps in, do your walkthroughs, all of that. I'm sure they'll have installation also, but it's going to be a quick week.
Yeah.
And listen, it's not going to make or break anybody's season, but it's a massive, massive divisional game for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be a wonky one just with the scheduling and whatnot. So we'll be time on task here with a quick one. And, of course, that's coming up on Thursday night. So gear up for that. One quick note that I heard on the Ravens radio broadcast today, and I want to shout out him because he's been on the show before. I know you and I have a tremendous amount of game. Sometimes I go back and forth. I love listening to Jerry call the game, Jerry Sandusky. Not to be confused for those of you that are out of the area, everybody's always like, what? Jerry Sandusky? No, it's not any relation to the former Penn State coach. But Jerry with a G shared a note because Torrey Smith was filling in as the color commentator, and I wondered why. Well, Rod Woodson's mother just passed, and her services were today. And so I just wanted to send out well wishes and love to a friend of the show, a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champ, Rod Woodson, on the passing of his mother, Sarah. And he's been really kind to us in the past. Had a chance to meet him on Radio Row back in February at the Super Bowl, and we're wishing him well.
All right, can we get to what happened in your pregame show with some lovely young lady, sounds like?
So a few Super Chat donations were hitting on this hard. I think there were a couple in the beginning. Let me pull up which one of you wanted this. Oh, Eileen. Okay, so Eileen says, Bobby, did you get a date? I'll be quick because I know you got a lot to do on the back end. Famous last words,
Don't you
Sarah.
share any details from
I'll
me.
be quick. Famous last words. As you guys know, I do my pregame show tailgates at the Bmore Around Town at 801 West Austin Street. It's an awesome experience, and today was freaking awesome, Sarah. It was crisp weather, awesome food, great, just awesome fall day. And I'm finishing up the show. And I ended up finishing a little bit early, but Asmodeus shows up.
Wait, is
And
Asmodeus the one from Virginia?
yeah,
Oh, I can't believe I remembered that. Okay.
yeah. So
Does he
Asmodeus,
show up with a Virginian girl?
no, he showed
Oh.
up with his buddy who was wearing a Denver jersey.
Oh.
So Asmodeus shows up, and he's the one he's our loyal subscriber and viewer who always drops in McChicken donations, and we love the guy, and it was great to meet him in person. And so I have him on the show, and all of a sudden, I'm looking over his right shoulder, and I see this girl. Your reaction's going to be so good to this. I honestly can't wait. I've been waiting all day. I see this girl dancing on top of the table.
Oh boy.
In the background. And I'm like, who is that? And she's just having a good time, and there's nothing that was like over the top about it other than the fact that she was on top of a table at a tailgate.
Okay.
But she was just having a good time. She was with her family, fully dressed, all that stuff. And just
Okay.
I feel like I'm giving you I just don't want you to get the wrong impression of like who it is.
Okay.
And so I turned to Asmodeus, and I think I just interrupted him like mid answer of what he's telling me about the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Asmodeus, after you're finished up here, can you go? Actually, you know what? I'm botching who I was with. I was with Houston. I'm sorry, Houston, who's a Ravens flock member, and I'm in the middle of interviewing him. And so I basically like interrupted him, but I think Asmodeus was the one who ended up going. I might be completely screwing up the story because it all happened so fast, and I had so many guests. Like Femi came on, former Ravens running back Matt Lawrence came on. Like it was just an insane pregame show. I think Asmodeus was on, but she ended up coming over when Houston was with me. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I haven't told
so
the story
you sent
yet. as you can
Asmodeus,
tell.
but somebody came on, and maybe Asmodeus brought her over while you run with somebody else.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So I'm telling the story because I want to give Asmodeus his due because he was
Okay.
the one that stuck his neck out there with a cup of Jameson and walked right over and got her to come on the show.
Okay.
So next thing you know, Madison from Kentucky, from Louisville, outside of Louisville, and she was from the second she came on the show, she's like, you're mispronouncing it. So I already enjoyed her spunk. But she comes on the show, she sits down, her parents are behind me. I'm interviewing her. She's got a couple orange crushes in her. She's having a blast. And she's like, are you coming into the game? And I'm like trying to broadcast at the same time. And then there's people watching us. I'm getting filmed by her parents. There's just like all these dynamics. The live
her
chat's
parents
going
are there.
off. Yeah.
So she's not doing anything too crazy if her parents are there.
Yeah.
You'd think. Okay.
And you know my type, brunette, athletic, and like relatively tall. And she was all those things.
But not taller than you.
Well, I mean, if it's
right.
I wouldn't.
I mean, I'm not saying you're opposed to it.
Yeah.
But ideally, you said your type. Go on.
Yeah.
Your type is not like taller than you.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. But if it was the right one.
Sure.
5'9", I'm 5'8" on a good day, then.
Yeah. I got you.
But she's sitting down, and there's just an immediate connection. Whether that was alcohol related, that's a story for another time. But she was fun in front of the camera. She played softball in college. She's from Kentucky. She's up here for work with her family, or maybe it was just a family trip. They were flying back tonight, might be flying back right now. Maybe she's watching. I have no idea. But the live chat's going off, right? They're like, get her number, get her number, get her number. And then she's like taking a selfie, and she's like, hey, what's your, I'll put it up on Instagram. I said, okay, yeah, here's my handle. What the live chat wasn't privy to is as soon as the stream finished up, and I finished it up early, only like a minute or two early, she and I did, in fact, swap numbers.
Oh, yeah.
She's since, and this is new as of, let's see. Oh, you guys are going to lose it at this. She has since, as of an hour ago, DM'd me, which is funny because we have each other's numbers. Maybe she doesn't remember that. She DM'd me on Instagram and goes, so, I'm your future wife. Oh no. Which
He
means,
has a sense of humor, so I love that.
but which means, I'm wondering if she actually went back and listened to the stream.
Oh, for sure. And you'd think that she'd check in tonight. What's her name, did you say?
Now wait a second here. Here's
Uh-oh.
another layer. Oh wow. Okay, wait a second. I'm in my DMs right now. Okay, this girl named Caitlin DMs me. I think this looks like her friend that she was with, who was taking photos up to us off the side. She goes, "So, as Madison's manager, and apparently she's your future wife, ... what are your intentions? Follow her." And she sends me her contact information in this DM. There's a lot happening right now since we came on the show.
First
I'll
of
tell you
all,
that
I
right
love
now.
the whole friend group and how much fun they're having with this. Do you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
It's just like, it's all fun. There's no pressure. It's just like, that was just a fun interaction. You guys exchanged information, and but I just love how much fun they're having with it.
They are,
And
right? It's
yeah,
all
they are.
lighthearted.
And I'm
It's fun.
sure there were people in there in the live chat saying, you know, your future wife and all that kind of stuff. So that's great. That's great.
It somehow got back to her. Adam's keeping me honest here in a certain part of the story that I left out. So Asmodeus came on the show and he gave me a cigar. And as you know, I love a good cigar. I've never smoked a cigar live on the air until today.
Okay.
Asmodeus and I had a cigar, and Adam
Wait,
says,
was this after your interaction with her or before?
during.
During.
I'm smoking the cigar during, and as Adam says, Bobby let her taste his own cigar. Yeah, it's true.
Oh, so you took the cigar out of your mouth and gave it to her.
She basically took it. She was, I'm telling you, Sarah, I'm telling you right now, I know nothing about this girl other than the fact that she's got great energy, is from Louisville, played softball in college somewhere in Cleveland or somewhere in Ohio, I believe.
Okay.
And I just, her energy is off the charts. She's super attractive, like was unafraid of the moment just to have fun.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I could be on the next flight to Nashville. I don't know. Who's stopping me from doing that?
Nobody. You can take
sound,
the show on the road. We know that.
You sounded like
I know
what you
I'm not stopping you.
You sounded like what you said with the Harbaugh family there.
I did
Nobody.
sound like it. Nobody. What's
Oh,
stopping
man.
you? Who's stopping you? Nobody.
This is hysterical. Well, I'm sorry I botched part of the
Wait, so her
the
name is
story
Madison?
there, but Madison, yeah.
Madison. And
Yeah.
what's her friend's name that's hilarious? That's
Yeah,
checking in?
Kate.
What's your intentions?
Yeah, Caitlin, who's apparently her manager, is trying to get the
Caitlin's
deets
equally
here.
as funny. I like it.
Caitlin DMs me and says, yeah, apparently she's your future wife. What are your intentions?
Now she's gonna send a DM that says, "So you're coming to Nashville?"
Oh my! You know what's funny too? So maybe something happened here because they're both Instagramming me as if that's the only way that we can get in contact.
Right.
She gave me her number, and I texted her at 2:21, and I said, "Hey, you cancel that flight back to Nashville yet? Just to like keep the fun up." And she hasn't answered yet. She's trying to get a hold of me through Instagram. So anyway, it was just, yeah.
Just based off of the chat, I have questions to ask.
Yeah.
Because there's so many comments. Does she seem about your age range?
Oh yeah, I just don't know. I don't know how old she is. I'm guessing she's probably mid-20s.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And before I was trying to come up with the name for like single Bobby, all that. Obviously, it's Bobby Bachelor. Obviously, that's so the way to
Bobby
go.
Bachelor.
Bobby Bachelor. And here's what else is awesome is like sometimes when you tell your dating life stories, you're cautious as you should be about the details that you give because you want to be respectful and you don't know if they're comfortable with you talking about it on camera. But like this started on camera, like this started on the show. So you're at a little bit more at ease and being able to, give more stories about it. This is great. Oh, I can't wait.
Now,
I
we'll
better
be
get
honest,
text
though.
messages from you later tonight. I'm sure at some point you guys are going to connect over text.
Let's see where it goes. I was joking with her. So, okay. We'll finish up here in a second.
Yeah.
I promise. I know you got a lot to
90
do.
minute.
Yeah, exactly. Chef, we're giving you 90. All right, screw it. Now, I'm sure there was a level of intoxication. She was having a blast.
Sure.
She had a drink in her hand. Her parents looked to be having a lot of fun.
Okay.
And if there was one, cringe is a strong word, but if there was one uncomfortable aspect of this, it was the fact that when I went off the air, we're like vibing, the two of us, and I'm giving her my number. I'm punching my number into her phone
Yeah.
as her parents are literally 10 feet to my left.
So,
And
but
I'm
they
like,
saw all
"Ah,
this going
ooh,
down.
I'm like, these guys want to get to the stadium. I can tell they're looking like they're antsy. The tailgate's over. Now some dude who's been hosting a show in Baltimore that is now macking with my daughter. Like, what's happening in here? So there was that vibe, but hey, she was unafraid, so that means I'm unafraid too. Screw it.
Okay. Well, listen, you're just getting everything in all together. Like we're already able to talk on air about it because that's where you met her, and you've already met her parents, and her parents already know who you are. So like this is just lightning speed
Oh.
here. This is lightning speed.
We were like a Lamar today, boy. We were efficient.
Did
and
you
we were
invite the
just
mom on
moving.
the stream?
I did.
Dude, you left that you left
I
that
did.
detail out.
I don't know if I'm telling this the right way because Sarah, there were so many moments packed into like 10 minutes.
Right.
And so Eileen is jogging my memory. I did ask Modius. I hope he didn't say this, but maybe this is what ended up happening. I guess I asked Modius, can you go ask that girl to come on the show because she's my future wife? And maybe Modius was like, yeah, sure. I'm going to go repeat that verbatim. Can you imagine? Like, that'd be kind of hilarious if he did that. We need to have,
That would be
we may need to
hilarious.
have Asmodeus on the show for a brief minute within the next few days.
For
Just
sure.
to get his perspective on it. But
I don't know.
Eileen,
Lots of
thanks for
people
the
are saying that you left details out. People are also accusing me of saying that she sounds immature. Not at all. A lot of people are saying that she looked a little bit younger. So I was just, checking. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
she definitely is younger than me. No, make no mistake.
Yeah.
And I think she's
That's all
probably
right, though.
somewhere around, I would say 20, 24, 25, 26,
that's
somewhere
fine.
around there. Jay
I
Love
met
is
my
funny.
husband when I was 25.
Okay.
We were married. How long did it take us? Almost 2 years, just under 2 years.
Okay. Carlin's funny. He's saying, what's cringe about that? She's free to do what she wants, referring to my parent comment. Well, Carlin, here's the only thing. They're looking like they want to leave the tailgate and get to the
because
game.
they're
Like they want to go to the game.
Yeah.
And their daughter, who's having a good old time, is exchanging numbers with a guy that they don't know and she doesn't know. But maybe I'm just reading into it too much. Eileen, thanks for the super chat. Jay says, "Boom, Bob." He wants that one. Oh, boom to go. Was that with what you like? Remember earlier in the week you wanted?
Boom.
Yeah, boom. Yeah. Instead of what was it? In place of?
Instead of Wowzers, which is
Woof.
Lamar Jackson's. Oh, not in place of it. It's like the opposite. Yes.
Perry says, "I got a stogie Thursday, and I hope to see you at the tailgate." Perry, who knows? Maybe we'll get Be More Around Town to fly in. Fly Madison in from Kentucky for it. Mr. Ketchup dropping super chat donations in. And Jeremiah says the Keaton return game. If so, how about a touchdown? And Liza, what's up, Liza? $1.99. We appreciate you guys all for tuning in. I hope I did an okay job at telling that.
Well, according to the chat, you did not do a good job, but I feel like I got the gist. And when I feel like we had a moment when you read her DM to you. When she said, "So I'm your future wife."
I think there's going to be some movement. Yeah.
I think that's good. And I also just want to put out there, okay? Both my mom and both my sisters, I have two sisters. My mom and both my sisters each one of them were either engaged or married at 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a different time.
Either married or engaged at 19. So it all just depends on where you are in your life. Shoot, there could be some guys. How old are you again? 30? Are you 30 or 31?
Yeah, 30.
30. Sorry, I didn't want to give you an extra year.
Thank you.
There's some guys at 30 that aren't ready, but you are, like that's what you're looking for. So it all depends on where I would have been ready. Well, would I have been ready at 20? But 25 it was. I met my husband at 25. So
you know what?
It's all about where you are in your life.
If there's one thing that you already hit on, and I'm totally in agreement with you, and it's actually nice to know, at least there's already from the get-go. Yeah. There's a comfort level of what we do. She's on camera, literally moment number one that we met.
Yeah.
And now we can kind of, if it starts to, and who knows, but if it starts to kind of materialize, now I can kind of update you guys as we go. But
Yeah.
again, who the
No,
heck knows where this is going?
I love one of my favorite characteristics in people, whether they're my friends or my husband or whatever. I love people that have a sense of humor, and she clearly in her friend group has one, which I love. Yeah,
And you're right. The friend group is so. Oh man,
yeah.
friend group is something I'm constantly hung up on in Baltimore. Like you find somebody and then you end up hanging out with the group and you're like, it's just this
Not a good vibe.
wasn't as
Yeah,
enjoyable as it is one-on-one, and that
yeah.
really ends up and I know that's a picky way of choosing, but it is something that means something to me. John Rourke and Rossi Clark, you guys are our shout out patrons who support us through Patreon. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for being a part of the Vault Patreon community. If you haven't already done so and you want to join for as little as $1.99 or maybe do the $4.99 level like John and Rossi do for a monthly shout out, you can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast to do so. Partner, I know you got a lot to do, so
I have
thank you
more
for
questions, but I'll ask them later.
Oh yeah? Well, here, you want to rip
there's
them off
just
quickly?
details in there. Was she a Denver fan, Madison?
I still haven't gotten down to why she was there. She picked the Ravens, actually. She had
That's what they
41-27 was her score. That's not bad. Or no, was it 42-27, guys? Or what was her score? 42-27, I think she had in favor of the
Really?
Ravens. Yeah.
Oh, she got close to the score for the Ravens.
I could tell Julian's going to be on the post-game of the post-game show when I go solo on my channel later on. He wants more of the dirt.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. It'll
guys
be fun
crack
to
me up.
see, whatever. Could be nothing, could be something, but it's always fun. These stories are always, always fun. So
I appreciate you listening and humoring me, So.
yeah, no. I appreciate you telling it. It's
Oh,
very
of course.
entertaining for
Of
sure.
course. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's just like pandemonium. There's just so much happening. And then I'm on my way out of the tailgate and all the B-More staff is like, "Hey, what you up to today? You having a good day over there?" Making little comments about my show. So
Yeah.
anyway, you guys are the best. We appreciate you. Ravens improved to 6-3. It's a quick week, which means Sarah and I will be on our P's and Q's coming up over the next few days. Thursday night at the bank.
So they're
Ravens.
gonna practice tomorrow, right? Like there's no day off. I'm not
You
saying they'll
think,
do a
right?
full practice, but usually if Thursday is the Sunday, then Wednesday's the Saturday. Tuesday, Monday. Yeah, they've got to be at practice tomorrow.
You would think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And we might have late night, just get ready for it. We might have late night press
media
conferences.
availability for sure.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that earlier on. So yeah, it'll be a little bit of a wonky week. So we'll be on tap for that. And as always, thank you to GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, for all the wonderful support that they give us in the form of sponsorship and all of our post-game shows. You can go check them out. And the link that we have included at the top of the show notes, it's also a pinned comment. And again, as we always say, if you're not interested, but you want to help us out, go click the link, navigate through the website, check it out. Really helps us out on the back end. So for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Sunday night post-game live stream. Ravens improved to 6-3. 41-10 was the final score over the Denver Broncos. And next up is week 10 of this NFL season with the Cincinnati Bengals coming to town, and a big one under the AFC North primetime lights at the bank. We'll talk to you guys soon. And as always, we appreciate you for joining us here inside the Vault.